It's tough for women who all the producers just want to have sex with you. It's like, oh.
I think the internet is slowly saving the world.
Yeah.
Because it amplifies our voices.
Yeah.
And that's one of the huge places where we really need a lot of work.
Starving artists is a real thing. Like, people don't realize, like, you can be working with Eminem and Dr. J and be broke. If you're miserable and you have money, you're just more miserable. Self-love is selfish, and it's actually like, it's selfless. I had all the Birkins, I had all the watches, I had literally everything you could buy, all the cars, and I was like, I'm depressed.
Please remain seated.
Welcome everybody to the Rodriguez Project here at Mastermynd Media. We have K-Cola here today. What's going on?
I am so blessed and calm.
I love it. I love it.
I feel very calm. I did my meditation this morning by the lake, and I saw like these swans just fly away, and I'm like, oh, God loves me so much.
Have you always done meditation, or is that something you introduced in your life later on?
I would say I introduced it recently, maybe in the last 3-4 years. I've always been like a prayer person. I grew up really religious, but now it's more just like tapped in with nature and like oneself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So just introducing it, was it, because that's the biggest thing for me was like, how do I find time? But it could be a minute, 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be this drastic thing. You don't have to do it right from the get. And so was that something that you were able to pretty seamlessly bring it into your life? Was there like an event that you're like, okay, I need to introduce this now? Or how did that work for you?
Well, with my business, I went so hard. I think I got burnt out.
Yeah.
I find that you can create time because time isn't really even real. So it's like, it's this thing that we have to like co-create with the creator. Like, we have to make time for these things that feed our spirit. We make time for everything else. And I find that it is the most fulfilling. Like, I've made so much money. I've had so many like things that the world would see as like accomplishments. And to me, like, having validation from the creator of the universe is the most important thing. So to actually feel that every day is like, I need it like water.
Yeah. It's interesting when it's like, so when there's everything is literally right around us, but then whether we taught a certain thing or like, you said like redlining going into business, part of that is necessary to work really hard and to make things happen.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like, because when did you start your first business?
So I started the OrganiBrands, which in the beginning we called it OrganiGrowHairCo. I started that in 2016, and it was just the hair care, and then we moved into skincare and wellness.
Yes.
And yeah, it was a wild ride from like the first week.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Do you think like, if you knew then what you know now about work-life balance and how to do that, do you think you could have introduced that early on?
No.
It's almost impossible, right?
Everything that we go through is supposed to happen the way it's supposed to happen.
Sure.
I was supposed to be this crazed workaholic so that I could literally like have the success and then burn out and like go completely away from that.
Yeah.
So no, it happened as it was supposed to.
It's like identical journeys, and it still creeps up. I still get to the point where, what I loved about looking at your brands, you have the hair brands and then the skincare brands, and what they treat. I have psoriasis.
Yes.
And for a long time, so my dad had psoriasis, but then I started looking at when it happened and seeing why it's happening, and what you're eating and everything, of course, but also your just your lifestyle. Yes. And for me, things need to get really bad before I can say, okay, I'm going to switch things up and start taking care of myself.
Yeah. That's most masculine energy.
Yeah.
It's the waiting and the like. Yeah.
And then I'm like, dude, what are you?
You guys beast through everything. It's like, we have to beg you to go to see a doctor or beg you to like, sure.
So that's why I'm so outspoken about everything now. I'm like, yes, you need part of that, and you can tell everybody everything, but they're still going to go through their own journey and have to figure it out. So what made you want to start a company like that?
Honestly, I do believe it was the universe because my ego was in the way. I was singing and songwriting and I was on tour at the time, and tour was very draining for me. I'm an empath. And so although I loved being on stage and like making people feel good, when I would get off the stage, I would be so energetically drained. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I love music. So that was like a big deal. But, and then I was broke. It's like, I would like, starving artists is a real thing. Like people don't realize like you can be working with Eminem and Dr. J and be broke. And so I was like, you know what? Well, first I started healing my hair. It was like a healing. I was solving a problem for myself. Right.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, what are you using? And I was like, oh, just some stuff under my sink. And they were like, you should sell that. And my ego was like, I'm not selling hair products. I'm an artist. Like, and at the time, you know, people are selling stuff like that now, like artists, actresses, all types of people are selling skincare and hair care. But at that time it was kind of like, no, you're just an artist and that's what you do. And this is who you are. And this is how you heal people. And God was just like, just do it. Just go for it. Just put out a website, do an Instagram. Like, what do you have to lose? Right. I kid you not. This was Christmas time and I'm a single mom. I spend like my last $5,000 in my account. And that week I get the money back and then some.
Wow. What did you spend the money on?
I spent it on my website. I spent it on
branding, maybe
labels and like acquiring the, you know, raw materials.
So you were mixing it at home?
Everything at home.
I love it.
I'm the formulator, manufacturer, and fulfiller. So
and still
everything,
are?
Yeah. Yeah. Everything was in-house. So I spent my last money on that. And like, I remember at one point, like it was, my kids were helping me like label the bottles. Like,
that's so dope.
We weren't sleeping, we weren't eating. And because I was so like obsessed with the fact that if you just do this, then you'll get this result.
Yeah.
Like, and the more you do it, the more the results will come. I had never actually seen something like that. Because with music, you can work your butt off and
nothing happens to it. And there's so many different variables in it.
Yeah.
Because it's hard enough to create, whether it's music or anything, to create a product.
Yeah.
That's, you know, you had the first thing of like, it's valuable because it's helping people.
Yes.
And it's like probably natural or whatever ingredient. So your heart's in the right place.
Yes.
And then you have a great product. Amazing. Yeah. But now it's got to sell.
Yeah. But that's why I say it's like, it was like alignment, because if I would have done it maybe 6 months later or a year, it would not have gone the same. Like,
and you said it was near Christmas time when
it was Christmas
when you launched
time,
it?
2016. And since then, so many hair care and skincare brands have come out on the heels of my brand. A lot of them won't admit it, but they have definitely been inspired by what we've done.
Yeah.
And if I just think of, like, I get chills all the time thinking about it, because I'm like, this is so cool. Like, I made something that like people then were inspired by, and it helped my life and other people's lives so much.
Yeah. How do you feel when you hear that other brands have been started similar to yours on the heels? Is that something, like, how do you feel about that?
Well, one, they don't have the sauce. So they do, you know, and good for them. I feel like we live in an abundant universe. And so I think like the old me would have been like, oh, why are you copying? This isn't fair. Like, but now I'm just like, no, what's for me is for me.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. Like, do your thing. If you're making money, good for you. You're helping your family and your employees. But they still don't have the sauce. Like, no one has been able to replicate what we've done. So that's why I'm like, yes.
Yeah. How do you even come up with a formula like that?
Yeah. Again, God.
Yeah.
No, seriously, because like I don't have like a chemistry background, and I didn't go to school for like I didn't even go to school for business. I had to learn a lot of things on the fly.
Yeah.
So just a lot of research, a lot of just intuitively knowing like, okay, this didn't work for this brand because, you know, whatever it was. And I really believe like intuitively I was able to formulate.
Yeah. Was there ever a time in the last, I guess, 7 years now, that you maybe like were hitting a wall on something and had to pivot and find like a solution that then worked?
No, I wouldn't say necessarily with like the dropping of products. I would say with like employees. It's really hard to manage people and their emotions and just learning how to be a better leader. I had to get really accountable. I had to stop saying like, well, they're not doing this and they're not doing that. It's like, well, what am I doing?
Yep.
How can I be better? How can I be a better leader and example and take accountability for what's going on within my,
Yeah. And leading people differently. Then not everybody is like wired the same.
Absolutely. Seeing people's strengths and weaknesses. When I first started, like I wanted to put everybody on. So like all my friends, I'm like, I'm going to hire all the homies and I'm going to pay them extra and I'm going to give them all these things and these shiny toys and whatever. Right. And what I learned was that people don't appreciate things that they didn't have to really work hard for. If you just throw things at them, a lot of people will be entitled. And so it was very painful. It was hurtful for many years to watch like people I thought loved me, like to watch them act like that over money. And then just recently, again, I had to have self-awareness. I had to get accountable. Like, girl, why were you doing all of this? Like, what validation did you need in giving all these people this stuff when they didn't even earn it?
Yeah.
So I had to look at myself and be like, actually, you were doing that for you, not them. And that was like a huge
Yeah. No, that's I think because that's the only way listen, you can have a mentor, you can have people telling you what you want to do, but you do what you think is best and learning as you go.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about even before we jumped on was like, there's so many things now that I don't realize that are second nature. And that's helped me be a better leader too. So if we have somebody new to the team that's working on something or editing something, and I'm like, no, you just do it like this. And then, and like, oh, of course they wouldn't know that. I didn't know that for the first 10 years and be able to introduce that to them. And then it's hard to work with friends. And, I've tried even to have several partners. Did you ever think about having a partnership within your company, or has it always been you?
I had a partnership and I can't talk about it because we had some legal things going on, but that did not go well. Again, a lot of entitlement. I never had a mentor. When you are a woman, it's like your mentors try to sleep with you. So you can't, it's so hard.
Yep.
And then, or if you try to get a woman mentor, some of them will be jealous of you. Like it's just so many obstacles that you have to overcome. Being a person of color and a woman in business.
Which you probably saw a lot in the music industry as well, right?
Oh God.
Like
that was awful. Like, honestly, that's probably one of the reasons, like I could have gone way further, but I said no a lot. I had boundaries and I was like, we're not doing that. Like, it's not that serious. So yeah, I definitely saw it in the music industry.
It's so unfortunate. And I think, that's what I love about social media is that people they can amplify their voice now when necessary. So people don't have to just keep their mouth shut to whatever. You can use it to help other people. And that's what I love about even with your social platforms, seeing how transparent you are about everything. Did you grow up being super transparent?
I'm laughing because can I curse on here?
Yeah, please.
Shit that I have gotten from being vulnerable and transparent, like the haters, the relationships, like boyfriends, just from having a voice, just from speaking my truth. It's like, you hate me because I told the truth? No, I was silenced most of my life. My dad is a Jehovah's Witness and he's from the South, and he just grew up feeling like women should just serve and not be heard. And so a lot of the times, like even, as a child, I tried to tell him that I was molested by one of his friends and he didn't believe me. He tried to silence me. So looking back on it, I have been silenced my entire life and I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to shut up to make you feel comfortable, so that's why I use my voice. Yeah,
I think that's how it has to be. And that's what, like, I think, not that I was necessarily silenced growing up, but we didn't talk about a lot of different things. I remember even getting like a first girlfriend. I don't want to talk about it because I'm embarrassed or whatever. Or like, whatever it was, we just wouldn't talk about certain things.
Yeah.
And then what I saw by keeping these things in is how it was impacting me.
Yeah.
And then and I always attribute it to acting class, going in and then being vulnerable and learning like other people's truths and these different characters and how people were raised and stuff. And then realizing like, wait, this is my power. My voice is my power. If I can actually, and if I'm transparent and I'm cool with me and I can be 100% truthful, then you can do anything in this world.
But think about every great song, every great book, every great movie, right? It's like people telling their raw truth. You don't want this like little filtered bullshit, right? And I also find that like the generation before us, they were taught to be quiet. So they try to do that to us. But what I really love about our generation is that like we do have social media. So we are speaking out and we should encourage one another to do so. I've even had friends be like, girl, why are you telling your business? Like, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because like what I've gone through is it can help somebody else. People look at me and they think like, oh, you have this perfect life or you've had this perfect life. And I'm like, not even close. So if someone can see what I've been through and be inspired, let's go. It was not just for me. Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
You know, like,
especially with how difficult it is to go through life. Let's just say even go through life, let alone start a business and have success within it. It's like you become this vessel of all of this information that if it's closed off, then it stops. I would even imagine. I always say like, I think I love being able to be creative. And I believe that the universe gives you these ideas. And if you become one of the trusted sources, that if it gives you a brilliant idea and you actually put it into fruition and put it out into the world, it's going to trust you for more things to come out. And that also comes with becoming better at even acknowledging what those ideas are and communicating them to the world. So I'm just like, don't let that just go away.
Well, not only that, I don't believe that like, okay, I was bullied, right? So I was bullied. I've been in abusive relationships. I don't believe that all of that happened so I could sit there and feel sorry for myself. I feel like those things happen so that I can be relatable to other people and they can understand like you can go through these things and still be okay. But if I just never talked about it, like how would they know? How would they know? Like they would look at me and be like, well, she hasn't, she's cute. So she's probably hasn't had to deal with like bullying in her lifetime or whatever it is, right? Whatever these thoughts that people have about these preconceived notions people have about people who have success. It's like, no, girl, I've been through all of it. And like, I have crazy baby daddies, like baby daddies. You know what I mean? Like for me to come out of that and love myself when people told me like, you'll never be anything, you'll never have anything. If I could do it, y'all could do it.
Yeah. You know? That might be my favorite thing because, that's what, having a successful company, yes, it's great. And we work hard to have some success in this world. Yeah. But it doesn't just mean money is happiness.
It's not.
Yeah.
If you're miserable and you have money, you're just more miserable because it's like people work all of their lives to achieve stuff. And then when they achieve the thing, they're like, oh, shit. Now what?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And then
you realize like there's more to this. Like when making all of that money in the last 7 years, I cannot tell you how important it was for me to just work on my spirituality because I had all the Birkins, I had all the watches, I had literally everything you could buy, all the cars. And I was like, I'm depressed. My friends are crazy. I cannot get it right with a man. Like, what is the point? Like, what is all of this stuff supposed to do? You'll become a shopping addict. You'll collect friends. You'll do all of these things looking for external validation. And it's like, I was actually happier when I was broke. Why is that? It's probably because I valued laughter or I valued walking to the park or it's like, why can't I do that now? And that's what I do now. Yeah. Like instead of, going and blowing a bag, I'm like, I'm going to just go do yoga at the park. And now I have stability. I don't have to worry about paying for, my bills. So I have this blessing of stability, but I can also go do the childlike stuff and cartwheels and dance and whatever. Like,
yeah, I love that. So let's take it back to that. childhood.
Yeah.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in LA, born and raised. My parents weren't together. So with my dad, it was like mid-city, Fairfax area. With my mom, like Slauson. I actually went to Carthay with Nipsey Hussle.
Oh, wow.
I've gone to school with like legends. I realized that later. Like Leonardo DiCaprio used to go to my high school.
Oh, really?
I'm really good friends with James Fauntleroy, who's an incredible songwriter, and he went to my high school. So growing up here was dope because you got to hang with like the gangbangers and the celebrities.
Yeah, yeah,
you got a little bit of like everybody.
I love that. Yeah, that's a mix.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you feel like so yeah, that's what I even, you know, growing up just west of Detroit, I'm very grateful for exactly where I grew up. And we grew up, you know, middle class, and coming out to LA was definitely an eye-opening experience for me.
Yeah.
But having just the friends and growing up playing sports and stuff like that, and you know, just there's so much that I didn't realize.
Yeah.
When I first moved out here, I'm like, oh, it's LA and it's nice weather and palm trees and like, I don't want to go back to Michigan. And now I'm like, you know, we go back to Michigan and I'm like, she's like, wow, it's very green here and open. I'm like, oh,
yes.
wow, it is. But you have to see it through somebody else's eyes sometimes to be able to just understand and be grateful for something.
Yeah.
And then now moving out to LA, and I've been here almost 20 years. Wow. It's like, you know, now I've been here pretty much half the amount of time that I was in Detroit. So, or the exact same amount of time that I was in Detroit. And now, you know, but I still feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
But going back to your childhood, and then, you know, were you like singing? Were you in music at all?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in the studio. My dad's a jazz musician. So we had a studio downstairs in our house. I grew up on like the Carnegie Hall stages and all the Philharmonics from LA to New York. And I wrote my first song when I was 8 years old.
Really?
Yeah. So I've always loved music, but I think I've always had this like weird thing about the industry because I just see how like it takes the most talented people and just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not everybody gets their shine. And now it's this thing where you have to have all this drama and like, that's not for me.
Yeah, yeah. So when you write a song at 8 years old, did you write it on an instrument?
No, I just came up with the melody in my head, and it was like based off of a Disney book called A Lesson in Friendship. And so it was about friendship. I mean, I was 8, so I wasn't exactly writing. Although, Lord, I've been boy crazy since as far as I could remember. But my first song was about a friend. Yeah. Wow.
Wow. So was it something that you continuously did growing up? So yeah.
I found myself journaling a lot. That's why they call me the lucid dream queen, because I'm such a dreamer. I've always lived in like fantasy land, and like, so I would always journal, and like if I had a crush, I would like go home and write a whole thing about my crush. I've written plays, I've written books and poems and all these things.
Yeah.
So like,
so you've been able, because that's what I love about writing too, is like you can get your you know, get your thoughts down and organize them.
Yeah, get it off.
Yeah.
They say that's like better than talk therapy. Writing is better than talk therapy. Yeah. So I've always loved writing. I journal. I journaled this morning. I try to journal as much as I can.
Yeah. Do you have like a set, like a journal or something that's specific based on like structured, or is it kind of just notepad?
No structuring. I do not. I'm not a structure girl.
Really?
I know that structure is so necessary, especially with creating a business. Like I had to do the whole structure for my LLC, but I'm more of like water. Like I'm like a flowy girl. And that's, you know, the other thing is that I've realized, because I was at a computer for like 6 years, I don't want to be at a computer anymore. I want to go play tennis. I want to go do a yoga flow at the beach. I want to rollerblade.
Yeah.
So like, even with my writing, when you're in those studios, the way that they like treat creativity is so nuts. It's like, you have to do this. We need a smash, and you have this amount of time, and it's so much pressure and stress, and that is not how you're supposed to create. Yeah.
That's very similar. It's even like in the film world. It's like, write a brilliant script. Okay, cool. It's 115 pages. We need it down to 100.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, and that's like the hardest thing to do. But then you get better at doing that, because then you start writing with like a budget in mind. And that's not like that restricts your creative flow at that point.
Yes.
And then you go make the film, and it's like, okay, well, you have a restricted budget. in restricted amount of days. And next thing you know, it's like, and that's, part of the game, of course. And
how do you feel about art being like competitive and like judgment on art?
So, that's something that I've battled with for a long time, because even coming from like a strategic business standpoint, I'm always thinking about, okay, what's like a cool plot device or something that I could tell this story to make it unique, but also have like commercial appeal. And, but I've found that like in my creative center ends up kind of being in between that in some way. And recently I read Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act.
Yeah.
And he really harps on the fact that you want to make sure art is for you at the end of the day.
Yes.
If you're trying to make it for anybody else and you're not happy with it,
it's contrived.
Yeah. So and that's what, some people say I turn down deals that could make my life way better.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not about that.
No.
I know it's like, I wrote a piece and we had success digitally with it. It went super viral, which I did strategically to grow the IP or grow leverage in numbers to then take it and make it as a feature. And got offered a deal by like a large studio, but it was only to write it and not direct it and not to produce it. Even and for me, it was probably the hardest career decision I ever made. But it just didn't feel right.
Right.
And yes, it's a nice check, and it could have been amazing, and maybe that could have been the thing that would have got me in the game further, and then we could have worked on the next one or the next one or the next one. But for me, I just can't see my art out there and it not be mine.
Yeah.
I'd rather die on my own sword and like let me go do what I do and see how they decide.
Yeah.
But within that product, that film that we did, I learned that I need to love the product.
Yes.
And I actually like when people don't like it.
Yes.
And love it. And if you're down the middle somewhere or someplace in the middle, then people start saying, "No, this is amazing. No, this is like the worst thing ever." And like, okay, cool. But if I feel like I have the taste buds to allow it to go out and be whatever it needs to be in the world. So,
and I love that you didn't let people project their idea of happiness onto you. Because who's to say? I've had so many girls tell me like, "Why didn't you date this guy? You would have," or "Why didn't you do?" And I'm like, because I wouldn't have been happy. Maybe you would have been happy in that scenario momentarily. But and
for
that
what
doesn't
reasons?
work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So so as far as it being competitive, does that like how do you feel
gives me
about
anxiety.
That?
Yeah. No. My dad always said that music is art, not a sport. So we should leave the competitiveness to sports.
Yeah.
And
again, I think it comes back to like your truthfulness. It's like if you're like, wow, I really like this, and you don't need that validation, you don't need anybody else to say this is amazing or to be like a huge mass success. If it is, cool. If it's not, I'm still going to keep creating.
There are a lot of trash songs that have gotten Grammys or number ones. And it's like, so that, for us to measure it by that, even me having Grammy-nominated on my bio, like we know what we do that for, right? Yeah. It's not, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I literally it's like whatever, but everybody else does. So
you got to play the game. It's, at the end, you're a businesswoman at the end of the day too.
Absolutely.
You understand how things work and how how society works.
Yeah, it gets you in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So I totally believe that too. I love what your dad says too.
Yeah.
It's not a sport.
It's not a sport.
Even though it feels like it a lot of the time.
It does. That is so stressful, that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And playing the game, I mean, it's the reason I had a Rolls Royce for a year. Like, I don't care about that. But like, so many people are like, ooh, you have a Rolls Royce. Like, let's invite you to and I'm like, are you guys kidding me? Like, I'm still the same girl, but now you want to invite me because I have got it.
Yeah, and just understanding how the game works. It's it's the longer you're in it though, if you're in it for the right reasons. Because did you feel like you were always in it? Like, hey, I'm in the game for life. Like this is.
I did. Yeah, I love music so much. And I love like being able to use that as a medium to heal. When I hear music, like, so I'm in school for yoga. I'm learning, I'm getting a certification in Kundalini, which is more like the spirit-based practice.
I've heard many people have saved many people's lives.
Yes. Yeah. So, it's dope because she was saying like everything is yoga. Like you take a stroll down the street. Everybody thinks that yoga is like the vinyasa flow where you're doing all this like movement stuff, and you could literally be sitting still and doing yoga. And so for me, like, music is yoga because I'll listen to a song and I'll just start laughing and I'm like, yo, this is so fire. Like, it'll just make me, I'll feel like I'm high.
Yeah.
Or I'll listen to a song and I want to cry, or I'll listen to a song and I want to call someone. And like, so the spirituality behind it and like how it makes me feel like I'm literally like going through this emotional roller coaster on drugs, whatever it is, like, it's literally my drug.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you wrote this last album, What Dreams Are Made Of. So tell me about that. You released it last year.
Yeah. I wrote that with, I don't know if you've heard of Destin Conrad, but he's this amazing artist. And we did the whole project together and it was fun. It was fun because there was no pressure. It was just like, what are you feeling right now? Just write it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that's the, like, that to me was way better than the like old way of writing where I had all of this pressure on me and I was broke and I didn't have money for food. And it's like, you have to put it on the studio budget. And it's like,
yeah, not to mention the business is corrupted and you know, as a writer, you don't get everything you should get anyways.
oh my God, we're paid peanuts. Yeah.
When do you think that's ever going to change?
I don't know. We're going to have to change it. We have to be that change.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like. I always say, I think the internet is slowly saving the world.
Yeah.
Because it amplifies our voices.
Yeah.
And that's one of the huge places where we really need a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it's been like notorious for that for years.
The 100 Percenters, who started by Tiffany Fred, she's this incredible songwriter. She's really on the front lines, making sure that like writers are getting more money, getting like upfront money and things like that, because it's a mess.
And other producers that actually will, you know, do what they're supposed to, or step in when they see something going wrong, or to give them the cuts they deserve.
I wrote a song, so we're friends, so hopefully he doesn't hear this and get mad at me, but the rapper The Game, we've been friends for years, and I wrote a song on his LAX album, and it came out, and I'm singing, and I was like, yo, I didn't get my publishing, and he's like, you got to pay your dues. And I'm like, you're crazy. Like, because at the time I had my son and I was in the studio till 5 a.m. and I was exhausted. And I'm just like, yo, you saw me in that studio falling asleep every night with you. Like, and you didn't want to give me a cut. So I sued him and I got my cut. But that's how it goes. Like, they'll steal your publishing. They won't even give it to you. You have to like, and they'll just tell you pay your dues. Yeah,
and it's almost like, oh well, this is the way it is. This way it's always been. So
what other job does that?
Yeah,
you know, like, come on.
My goodness, and that's what we had. You know, somebody else did a podcast here and in the studio, and they talked about that they, because of how it's structured or how everybody is independent contractors, they're not able to unionize. Yeah. And that's how they can't necessarily, or that's why it's making it difficult for them as songwriters to come together to make a change within that. Where now what we're seeing with like the Writers Guild and SAG and everything, they're all unionizing. I love what
they did.
Yeah. So I wonder if that in a world, if the rules can change, because we've been seeing, you know, artists and songwriters getting screwed over for
forever.
The whole music
Well, the thing
industry.
is you go into a studio and you're just there, right? Or like somebody invites you or whatever. Unless your publisher sent you, like, so many people are just so happy to be in the studio, first of all. Like, you know, it's that whole thing. And then you get in and you're like, okay, I wrote this line or I wrote this melody or I gave this idea. How do you prove that? You know what I mean? So for me, luckily I had the producer at the time. He was like, yo, she wrote this whole thing. But if I didn't have him, it would have been my word against The Game. And he is like Grammy Award. You know what I mean? So it's tough. It's tough, especially for people coming in. It's tough for women who all the producers just want to have sex with you. It's like, you know, like, I just want to work. Why don't you see like money? At least if you can't even see me as like art, we could get money together, bro. But you want to do this instead? Like,
oh my goodness. It's like the rules need to change and then be able to protect everybody within it. But it's that the culture of the business too, where to people to be more giving, to people to be, because are there other sessions where people, I would imagine that that it feels a little bit more collaborative and people want everything, because if it's so easy for people to say, well, no, I'll just take this credit or whatever, even though I said this or that. yeah, like has there been better scenarios
It's
for
crazy
you?
because it's like the artists who are already successful. It's like you already have enough. Why are you trying to take from the people who have nothing? But no, that's why I like to work with my friends.
Yeah.
I'd rather work with somebody who doesn't have a name and they're just dope because we can just vibe out and it's whatever. Anytime I've worked with somebody who's like super big, it's a mess.
Damn.
Yeah.
And so if we're just like, yeah, what do they say? Don't you don't want to meet your idols? Or,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I just heard a horrible story about one of my idols yesterday. I was like, I'm not going to.
Yeah. It's like maybe it's just a bad day.
Yeah. No, that's their character. And another thing I've noticed is once you have a little bit of money, they'll respect you a little bit more, which is crazy too.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'll find you up here now. You're on this same playing field. Now you can have 2% of what you deserve. Yeah. Yeah. I really am very hopeful for that. And I love that you said somebody is really stepping up and trying to make a change.
100%ers.
Yeah.
You guys support the 100%ers. Follow them on Instagram. And
I feel like I have heard of them.
Yeah. Tiffany Fred. She's dope.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, that's so unfortunate. But yeah, so now with this album, was this so just coming in, what was like the mood or the vibe? Was it more therapeutic? Was it more fun?
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Some of the tracks
I was writing about love and I had so many. I feel like when I was writing that album, because I was dating a guy I should have never been dating. It was so like, I knew he was a mess, and that's the thing. Sometimes, as artists, we'll create drama and chaos so that we have something to write about.
Yeah.
And now I'm moving into this era of like, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm peaceful and I'm calm. So I want to write about that. I want to show people how to do that. I want to help, like the frequency of my music that I'm working on now is more like healing and meditative and calm.
That frequency matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's another thing that, like depending on this music you're listening to in the morning, how that's going to impact your whole day or in your life. And then that way, when stuff does go,
challenge. We don't say, then we can say challenges because
we can take that challenge and put that into our music at that time because that's what we'll be feeling. We don't need to fabricate it to then create a hit.
Yeah.
Even though and that's what like in the acting world, playing different characters or whatever that might be going through a certain thing, and you got to channel some like past experiences or whatever. And
it can torture you and haunt you, like Heath Ledger.
You can't stick with it. You can't stick with it that long. It's like you can use it. They call it sense memory. You can use it, and I found it to be therapeutic to a certain extent because if it's something you haven't gone fully through, and you can kind of work through it within your art, and then you get a great performance out of it that looks great. Okay, cool. But if you stay in it too long,
you're left with it. You're like haunted. Yeah. I've never done that, so I don't know, but I can only imagine because I get so into it when I watch you acting artists. Like I literally get so caught up in it. I can't even imagine like you having to take yourself there.
Yeah. And then do it to multiple takes.
Yeah.
That's why as I was doing more writing and directing, I was like, I don't know if I want to put myself through that as an actor again. That's just a lot. Yeah.
Energetic.
Because I loved it when I was really focused only on acting. And now I'm kind of like, I don't know. Maybe we'll just cast somebody and they'll be better.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Again, that's why I left tour. It's too draining. And I'm like, why? Someone else can handle it. I'm not the one anymore. Yeah.
So have you found that now in like within your business career and starting this amazing brand, and I look like so many products, because that's when you first started in 2016. When you were developing products, was it a couple different products or?
Yeah, I only had like 4.
Wow, only 4. But that's even 4 is even a lot to start something.
Well, now I think we have something like 48 SKUs, something crazy. Yeah.
So have you found like with your creative ability that you use in songwriting and in your life, do you find that there is a huge creative flow within business as well?
I think creativity is just care, and I'm very caring. So I'm like, ooh, I see that you have, like you said, you have psoriasis. If I didn't have my products before and you told me you had psoriasis, I would try to fix I've been a fixer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm taking this yoga course. And I think I want to go back to school for therapy, because I'm just like, I see how we can fix stuff. Like, I see these problems, and then I see the solution. And a lot of us get stuck in the problem, or we get freaked out. And it's like, I used to be that person. I used to be that person who, while there was a problem, I would freak out. And now I just see the problem, and I'm like, okay, problem. We're going to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can handle, like, either way, it has to get solved, but you can do it chaotically, or you could like flow through it.
Yeah.
So that's with the products. I'm just like, okay, here's the problem. Even with COVID, I was like, okay, I created something called Breathe Free, and it helps just clear your lungs of mucus, and it can help smokers. It can help so many other things. You know what I mean? It's not just for that. It's for asthma. It's for allergies, like so many things. And just like, let's just help people help themselves.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's like almost like, removing yourself from the situation. That's what I love about, like, if I'm going through something, being able to take myself out of it and then like leave town and be able to see it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh, that's the problem. And then now what's the solution?
What's the solution?
Always being resolution based on that.
I had postpartum depression after my daughter, and they try to put you in all these drugs and antidepressants, and I was like, there has to be something else.
Yeah.
And so I started researching different herbs, and that's how I came up with my peace pills. And the peace pills also help you with like insomnia. And being a creative, your mind's constantly going, and it just relaxes you. So just finding something to help myself, I'm like, this is going to help somebody else. This is going to help. I'm not the only mother in the world. I'm not the only one with postpartum. So
wow.
I have a question for
Yeah.
you. Where did you find this calm? Where did you find it? How do you get it? And like, what has created this calm for you? Because you're you like calm me down just right now.
I grew up with a very anxious mother and grandmother. I would say that on my mom's side, it was women warriors instead of warriors. And I feel like I lived most of my life like that because I had so much trauma. I decided that I did not want to live like that anymore. I don't want to live in a constant state of anxiety. And again, I found that you can solve the same and go through the same things, but you don't have to. It's just like if there was a bee flying in here right now and everybody started freaking out, right? But what if there's that one person who's just like watching the bee and is like, okay, I'm going to move this way a little bit, or I'm going to move that way so that I don't get stung. There's a probability of you still getting stung, but do you have to scream? You don't. You can just choose to like surrender.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I like that.
And so I think it's a combination of that. I think ego death, which I'm still working on, but psilocybin and just like, you can even access what psilocybin does to you. And that's like mushroom psychedelics, right? Like you can access that through breath work, which I do almost every day. It releases DMT, which is what we release when we're born and when we die. And it basically just opens up like your third eye and this whole other thing that makes you realize that like, I am not the center of the universe, but at the same time, I am loved like I am the center of the universe, right? And it's so cool to think of like consciousness is able to love you when there's infinite other humans and dimensions and whatever, right? Like to think about how you're so loved to infinity will give you this calmness because it's like, okay, you don't like me? That's cool. The creator of everything loves me. Like, do I even like you? Like, why do I care so much? So I just learned to stop caring so much about things that are just out of my control and don't matter. And it just like literally makes you feel like you're always high. Like people think that I'm always high. I'm like, I don't even smoke. Like I'm literally just feeling it all the time. It's bliss, it's ecstasy. Like I've had orgasms on breath work. Like it's crazy what can happen to you. And that's another reason I wanted to start this certification, because I want to teach sacred energy healing. I want to teach people how to calm and self-soothe and how to emotionally regulate, which is super important for business. But I didn't want to numb myself, because when you're creative, it's like they give you two options in the world, right? It's like numb yourself or be this crazy passionate person. And I'm so passionate, but I didn't want to, I'm like, there has to be something else, right? Like I can still be super passionate and have all the like beautiful downloads and things that we get being a creative and not be numb.
Yeah.
So
that spoke to me, the numbing and then the surrendering to your surroundings, right? It's like having the only two choices to, I'm so charged up throughout the day. And then at night you're just like, God, I just need something to like help me chill out.
Yeah.
Cause you're just so anxious.
Yes.
So,
the anxiety, you know, alcohol, like, I don't know if you've ever noticed, like I used to go to the club too, right? Like the reason people drink in the club, I believe, is because we're supposed to feel. And when you're on alcohol, you don't feel all of that stuff. You actually can't even really see what's going on around you. And so when you're sober and you're in the club, you could see people's spirits. Like you can literally see everything. And I think that's why, you know, alcohol is legal, where it's like psilocybin is not legal yet, because that's going to open you up to see. But alcohol is going to numb you out, and they don't want us to feel and they don't want us to see. I'm trying to see it. Like I want to see it, but I also want to be okay when I see it, because you can see things and you can start to get anxious and go a little crazy. So I've been able to find this like balance of the knowing and still being okay to function.
Yes.
In where we are.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow.
I remember I put us on a stint of like meditation. I never ever thought I could do it ever, because it's just like, I can't sit still. I can't. My excuse was I can't turn off my brain. My brain is just always going to be going. And then you find breath work and you just find yourself using it throughout the day. Like if you're anxious and you're like, oh wait, I know how to breathe. Yeah. And then just doing it, you do feel high, very euphoric.
Yeah. You return to your breath, you return to yourself, and you realize like everything you need is already inside of you. Yeah. The other cool thing is that once you discover everything's inside of you, you're able to give yourself more, because a lot of people think like self-love is selfish, and it's actually like it's selfless.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And even in seeing all like the Wim Hof stuff, the you know that guy, he's like the cold guy. He always jumps in like the cold.
Oh, the cold plunges.
Yeah.
I pissed myself doing that one.
You did? You did? Well, Wim Hof.
How did your bowels even work? Or not your bowels, but like how did your bladder?
Yeah, I was in a state of shock.
Wow. Yeah. We have one in the shower here.
Wow. I won't be doing that.
But so Wim Hof, he like jumps into the Arctic, and he's like just crazy, you know. But he's also been able to with just breath work, be able to cure things inside him or move things around, like just amazing things. And he's built a community around it. And we are going to do ice baths in the valley every Sunday. And one of our friends that could stay in the longest, he started introducing breath work right before, and he wouldn't tell anybody that he was doing it, but he was off to the side doing it, came back, and then he was like, how much it changed his state while he was in it, and how much, because when you go in there, you're in shock, and then you eventually numb, and then but he said it just changed everything for him within that. Yeah, so
everything.
That's the thing, man. It's like we talk about finding the time or can't find the time, but once you do prioritize yourself and you stop and you can use these tools.
It's just crazy. It's not being taught in medicine as something that actually heals you too. You know, like holistically, maybe they do, but
but
just tell you like, oh, maybe you're so pent up with all this anxiety. Let's give you a pill, and maybe try some breath work. And try some meditation.
No, they don't want you to heal yourself, because it doesn't serve their agenda, and they can't make money off of that. So
it goes with the same thing of you saying they don't want to open us up with psilocybin and everything too. They would
rather us be. I mean, alcohol stock shot up during the pandemic. Yeah. Because, and it's like you would think people, I mean, alcohol breaks down your immune system. So why would you want to drink more? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the people that didn't know about that, it was your immune system that could fight everything off.
Right?
Because they don't tell you that it's that. They're not telling you to have vitamin D and everything.
Stay inside so we don't get the vitamin D to help your Everything fluoride in the water, everything that they give us is to numb us and dumb us down so that we can't feel this euphoria and be love, because love is so healing. It's the most healing thing on the planet. It's the most powerful thing on the planet. And they don't want that for us.
Yeah.
They want us to be again, going back to happiness and business. I had all this money. I was a consumer. I fed capitalism with all of my bags, all of my clothes, right? But now I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about this. I don't need to go shopping. I'm with the birds in the trees.
Yeah. What a
the
great
birds don't
place to
care about
be.
my Birkin.
The birds don't care about the Birkin.
Yeah.
I love that. Put that on a shirt.
No, it's such a great place to be. And now, so as like, you know, you've had this music career and you've had successes within that. You started a business and now the business is growing into upwards of 40 or more SKUs. Yeah. Are you still hungry to expand that business? Or are you starting other things? Obviously you said with the Kundalini yoga.
I'm obsessed with healing. I tell my friends are like, what are you doing? I'm like, healing. Like, what's your next, what are you working on? Healing? Like, my whole shit is healing.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
in every way.
Yeah. It feels better than anything I've ever felt in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that you can give to other people for free. And like, it's just so fulfilling. So yeah, I love my business and it helps so many people. I am so grateful for the OrganiBrands and the journey that it got me to even be able to heal all day, right? Because again, I have stability. So I am able to go to the park instead of rushing off to a job somewhere. I really am so grateful for that. And I know that I'm blessed to have that opportunity. Healing is where it's at. And I want to teach other people how to heal themselves so they don't feel like if you do work a 9 to 5, you don't feel like you had to go waste your money on going to the club, buying alcohol, whatever it is, whatever your vice is, right? Because you worked hard all week to earn that money. And now you're just going to go blow it on this because you have this void. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You could go to a park and feel that like insatiable thing that you can fill it up so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then your time will have been spent well.
Yeah. It's like you have a void. If you fill that with alcohol or whatever, it's something that like doesn't go away. The void ends up staying there. But if you go into like a natural healing way, then you fill that, or you kind of you heal it so it doesn't exist anymore.
Alcohol's expensive. Have you ever been to a dinner of like a group of people who don't drink versus people who drink? It's like the bill could be upwards of $1,500 versus like $200. Save yourself some money and time. Yeah. Go get this healing.
And pour into yourself in other ways.
Yeah.
Drink some water.
Yeah. Yes, some alkaline spring water. Feel me? Not the fluoride water.
Shout out.
Yeah. Mountain Valley. Yeah. Shout out Mountain Valley. They need to give me a deal, by the way. We had a little thing going, but that's all I drink. And like, yeah, I see a difference even with that. Like do you know that you could speak to your water? You can give affirmations to your water and then drink the water. And they say that the vibrations go into you.
Wow. No.
Yeah. Look that up. You guys should study that.
I'm learning so much.
Yeah. No. I've heard that in plants.
Yes.
Plants,
it's the same thing. Yeah.
We've been speaking to Greg and he's
flourishing downstairs.
Your plant's called Greg?
Yeah. We have Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, and Greg.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
I love that.
I had all fake plants before, and
yeah, good for you.
You bring a woman into your life, and she
absolutely. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that for you guys.
Looking back, and you look back to that moment where you almost didn't decide before God spoke that into you to say, "Hey, you need to go and do this."
Yeah.
So, people that maybe would ignore that voice or wouldn't believe in that moment. Like, what do you say to them? Or
we hear this voice so much. We hear it when we're in an unhealthy relationship. We hear it when we're not supposed to go down that street. We hear it when we're not supposed to take that job. And I just want everyone to know that like it is a superpower and you are supposed to listen to it, and it's a gift. And we take that gift for granted and we suppress it and we get angry at it, and we have to surrender to it because it is such a divine, infinite blessing, and it will bring so much peace and joy to your life. And it's like we watch all these Marvel movies and we watch like all these superheroes do these things, and we are the superheroes. We just have to tap into our superpowers. And I'm so grateful to tap into mine, because like my whole life is just amazing. Every day I have the best life ever. I was telling my friend yesterday, like, what are you doing tomorrow? I'm like, I'm going to have the best day ever. Like, I'm literally just living, and it's great.
Yeah.
I lost my grandmother in January. She was 103.
Wow.
She's been on this planet my whole life. And to like know that she's no longer here, I'm like, yo, everybody I know is going to be gone one day. I'm going to be gone. I have to live, and I have to be grateful, and like, I could either be miserable or I could like live and be grateful. And so I'm fucking living.
I love that.
Yeah.
It makes me think of, and what you were saying earlier kind of spoke to me too. There's a movie, Bridge of Spies, I think, with Tom Hanks.
I haven't heard of that, but I love Tom Hanks.
Yeah, there's like another guy. It's not Tom, it's somebody else in the movie. And I think they're about to go kill him or something. And like somebody's lied or whatever the case. But he's walking and to his death, I believe. And then somebody's like, aren't you nervous? Aren't you worried? And he looks over and he's all calm. He's like, why? Yeah. Would it help?
No.
And I was like, oh, shit.
That goes back to the bee thing I was saying earlier, right? Like human suffering. In class today, they were talking about the 5 like causes of human suffering. They were talking about the ego. They were talking about attachment. And one of them is fear of death. I did a ketamine trip. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but ketamine is a very powerful psychedelic. They use it to treat depression. I went all the way in. I died and I came back. And so I'm like, yo, I'm not scared to die. And I think we all need to experience that, because again, it will just make you live. It will make you so grateful, and you won't like be stifled or frozen by your fear of death, or like, oh, I got to do this. I got to rush around. Like, what? No, like you're giving yourself anxiety. Like, just flow. The universe knows what you need.
Yes.
You know what you need. You have to trust that.
I heard you do die on ketamine trips. Yeah. And we were listening to this podcast, and if you haven't heard it, you should absolutely listen to it. It's called This Is Actually Happening.
Yeah.
And there was a girl who, well, sadly, the person who gave her the K was like overdosed her because of some horrible reason. And he felt like she didn't. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. He felt like she had never been through anything. And he was like almost jealous of that or whatever. So he's like, he put her through something.
That's weird.
It was really messed up, especially with drugs. You can't do that. Yeah. And she literally was like, I fell to the point of no return, the void.
Yeah.
But she just wasn't I don't think she was in a safe environment to go through that though. So it could either be the biggest blessing or the thing that triggers your mental health issues.
I was in the void, and it was just me and God. And I didn't remember who I was as a human. It was just my soul. Ooh. I didn't remember I had kids. I didn't know what time was. I didn't know where I was, what like I completely was just, I wasn't even I. It was like just it.
What do you see in that? Is it darkness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's infinite, which I mean, the only thing I can relate it to is Interstellar, when he was in his daughter's book room and like the time space continuum. It doesn't exist, like how he was there in the future and the past and the present. But it's so cool because again, it just teaches you like we're everything and nothing. And like all the stuff that we worry about and care about is so stupid. The beginning of the trip, I had a great trip because I had like my friend, he's Tony De Niro. He's this incredible producer. He's literally worked with everybody. He's the psilocybin, his house was literally like the house you go to like trip. Like everything was, he had swings and he had like, all of his art was like colorful, like what, right? So he set up this playlist and it basically takes you through your journey. So it starts like with like calm guitar music, and then you get into like these drums. So the first part of my trip was me seeing like almost every man that's ever hurt me. It showed me that my ex had a sex addiction, And it just showed me all these things. And in the trip, I end up cutting off all their heads and I throw them into the river of the Grand Canyon, but they're all smiling and happy. It was like everybody in my trip was happy. That's how I know like I'm truly joyful inside, because like all these guys were really happy. And then it takes me like through this weird circus thing, and it shows me like the world is a circus. And then then I forget the world even exists, and I'm in the void. I'm in space. I'm in nothing. And it's just me and God. And I remember like thinking like, how long am I going to be here? How long have I been here? I don't know.
But it wasn't stress?
Well, I was not stressed because I surrendered.
Were you
That's
like
one thing.
laying down? Or
You're laying down. I had a thing, and like my friend Tony was watching me. He said, you had the biggest smile on your face the whole time. And I just remember I surrendered, because a lot of people freak out during trips. They want control. You have to let go of the control and let it take you, because you're not going to die. Like you know what I mean? Like your ego is going to die.
You're going to go on the trip either way.
You're going to go on the trip either way. So just surrender to it. And I was with God, and I remember to come out of the trip, I had this like veil of like, it was almost like cornflakes or something. It was like my skin wasn't skin, it was something else. And to come out, it had to like flake off, and then it shedded and I came out. So it was like a rebirth.
What is that first moment when you come back to earth, I guess?
I cried. I was so happy. You have this like clarity and a lot of energy, and you're just like, none of this shit means anything. Like, it's just so, you realize like love, which I just remember love. Love is everything. That's why we're here. It's not the love that it's not the Notebook. It's not the love in the Notebook. It's not like what they write about. It's literally just love of like infinite love, the way God loves us, the way like you're just supposed to love humans, you know what I mean? And love yourself, and the way like you love animals, like it just, that type of love. And it was so beautiful, and it brings you a lot of joy.
That is amazing.
I've been wanting to do one so bad.
You should do it.
I do. I've always had really good experiences with drugs. So it's not like, like the first time I ever did mushrooms, I like set up my whole, like I put a kaleidoscope on the TV and like was listening to Jimi Hendrix and like having like drawing and coloring and stuff. It was the best feeling ever. Yeah. You'd like it, Mark, if you just let up.
I couldn't even
surrender.
Yeah.
Start with psilocybin. Have you done mushrooms?
No. So I even couldn't smoke weed for a long time, and now I'm not smoking anymore. Yeah. But there was a good way for me to get over the fear of losing control. Yeah. And once I got over that, I was like, oh, okay, now it was a nice gateway to be able to, Release. Be able to use the benefits of those, of everything else.
The problem with weed, and the reason why I don't smoke weed, is because of how they cultivate it now. It's not pure. It's not what it's what it was supposed to be. Yeah. So with the mushrooms, it's a little different because you're getting like the actual. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until they take that over.
Very true. That's so true. We gotta try. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I were you, I would do like a nature thing, be around safe people. Maybe you can watch him. And
No, I know if once I get into that mindset, or when I am ready for it.
What's your sign? What's your zodiac?
Scorpio.
Sign? Okay.
Yeah.
You should be able to release control. I thought you were gonna say Virgo, and that's very like. They're not able to release control. You should be able to.
You may have a placement there.
Yeah, you might have it. Do you know your moon and your rising?
So Sagittarius is my rising, I believe, which I've heard saves me, because when I say Scorpio, people go, and then I say Sagittarius. I think it's Sagittarius rising.
Yeah.
And that's about all I remember.
Yeah. I have a Sag moon. We're really hard workers, and Sages have they're very charming, just like workaholics, excel, and like whatever we do, people with Sag. What about you? What's your sign?
I'm a Cancer, but
I love Cancer. I'm a Taurus.
Okay. My actual placements I heard are incredible, and I don't want to brag, but okay. So I would say, I have my rising is a Virgo,
Okay.
And I have Virgo, Sag placements, Aquarius, Pisces, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo.
Wow, you're all over. You have all the elements.
Yeah, I feel like I'm all over the place. I do.
Yeah. Wow.
Grounding work really helps, I think, for a placement like mine. And I thrive in grounding work.
Yeah.
For
like
sure.
putting your feet in the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
I miss living by the beach because I used to go there all the time, feet in the sand, and it's so grounding.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear you guys' psychedelic story.
Yeah.
Well,
You're going to love it, though.
Update you on it. No, yeah. I'll get there.
You're going to do a whole podcast.
I know.
Talk about his entire trip.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I look forward to, because that's the thing. And that's why even when I couldn't smoke weed initially, I was like, man, 'cause I had one bad trip. And I was like, but I wanted to use the benefits creatively and eventually needed to help me sleep. So now even knowing what the world of mushrooms and everything else out there, I'm like, man, I need to get to that mindset where I can explore all of that and be free in it and not be so restricted. And like, cause fear
Just
of
let
losing
go,
control
man.
was the biggest thing.
Let go. Just let it go.
I'm very inspired by your whole journey.
Thank you.
And like your calmness and your dedication to healing. And I love the fact that like now with the Kundalini and all these other aspects that you're looking into exploring, how that's going to impact the work that you're doing. And like the sky's the limit.
I'm so
the
excited.
universe is the limit. There is no limit.
So excited.
The
There
limit
is
does
no
not
limit.
exist.
It's limitless.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. We'll have to get you some peace pills too to help with like your sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And tell everybody where they can follow you, and also go listen to stream your album.
Yes. So you can find me at KCola on Instagram, and that will also link you to my website, which has everything from, I have my merch on. It's I love you, I hope you heal, which is this mantra I created to forgive an ex, but also forgive myself. And so anytime someone is getting on your nerves or tries to hurt you or whatever it is, just I love you, I hope you heal. So you guys can pick up that merch there as well. My music's on kcola.com, everything, like the hair care, everything, kcola.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. What an amazing brand and
you.
story. So thank you again.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you, Jai Ma,
Absolutely.
at Jai Ma Official,
Everywhere.
and myself at Mark Rodriguez TV, and Mastermynd Media everywhere. And we'll see you all next time.
Yes.
Peace.